The sky hung low over what remained of Chicago. Gray clouds rolled over shattered skyscrapers, casting long shadows on broken streets. Dust, silence, and the faint scent of rot lingered in the air. It had been 3 years since the fall, since the infection swept across America, turning cities into crypts and people into something else. Something far worse. Milo Carter stepped cautiously across an overturned city bus, his boots crunching on broken glass. The 34-year-old ex-subway maintenance worker clutched a rusted crowbar in one hand and a dented flashlight in the other. He knew the surface too well, it was where the dead roamed freely, and where hope had long since dried up. But Milo wasn't above ground to hunt. He was looking for something buried beneath. "Keep up," he whispered to the girl trailing behind him. Zoe, 15, was barely 5 feet tall but carried herself with stubborn resolve. She wore a patched-up military jacket 3 sizes too big and kept a switchblade taped to her thigh. "You sure this is the station?" Zoe scanned the crumbling sign above the sunken stairwell. "Green Line. LaSalle. Just like the map said." Milo nodded, wiping sweat from his brow. The map had been found tucked inside a sealed locker back at the abandoned Red Cross safe zone. Handwritten instructions. Coordinates. A note that simply read, "Secrets buried beneath, find them before they do." Who they were wasn't clear. But Milo had survived long enough to know that some of the worst monsters now walked on 2 feet, and didn't groan when they moved. He descended the stairwell slowly, the beam of his flashlight slicing through the darkness. The walls were smeared with grime and ancient graffiti. Dried bloodstains decorated the tiled floor, reminders of those who had tried to escape underground when the infection first spread. The silence down here was different. It wasn't peaceful, it was watching. The duo reached the old turnstiles, bent and warped by some force, and crawled past them into the tunnel. Milo shined the light ahead. Water dripped from overhead pipes. Rats skittered away. And far down the track, something metallic glinted in the light. "There," Zoe whispered, pointing. "That hatch. That's what the note mentioned." Milo approached cautiously. The steel floor hatch was rusted shut, but a faint symbol had been scratched onto it, a circle with 3 slashes through it. That same symbol had appeared on the map. He wedged the crowbar into the crack. "Help me," he said. Together, they heaved the hatch open with a shriek of metal. A gust of stale air rushed up from the darkness below. A staircase descended into nothingness. Zoe peered down. "You really think there's something under all this?" Milo hesitated. "I don't know. But the guy who made this map, he must have known something." They climbed down carefully, the walls of the shaft narrowing as they descended. At the bottom, they found a hallway, smooth, reinforced concrete, cleaner than anything they'd seen since the outbreak. Electric cables lined the ceiling. A red emergency light blinked slowly, still powered. Zoe stared. This wasn't part of the subway system. "No," Milo said, heart thudding. "This was built for something else." A low hum vibrated beneath their feet, something mechanical, far off in the distance. They moved forward, passing old signs that had been scrubbed of language, blank plates marking unidentifiable doors. Milo paused at one, room B4, and listened. Faint static crackled from inside, like an old radio signal. He pushed it open. Inside was a control room. Monitors lined the walls, most shattered, but one still flickered weakly. A green-tinted image showed a lab-like corridor with a figure slumped against the wall, definitely human, definitely not moving. Then the screen flickered, and something else appeared. Not a zombie, at least not exactly. It was humanoid, but wrong. Taller. Leaner. Its eyes reflected the camera like mirrors, and it stared directly into the lens before the feed cut to black. Zoe stepped back. "What was that?" Milo didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on a logo painted on the back wall, a black triangle with the circle and slash symbol in the center. Underneath, faded words. U.S. Department of Biodefense. Sector 12, Project Echo. Milo felt a chill crawl up his spine. This wasn't just about survival, he said quietly. They were working on something here. Before the fall. Zoe gripped her knife tighter. And whatever it was, it might still be down here. Suddenly, the hallway lights flickered. A loud mechanical clang echoed from somewhere deeper in the complex, followed by slow, heavy footsteps. Milo clicked off the flashlight. Move. Quietly. And they vanished into the shadows, unaware that they had just awakened something beneath the streets of dead America, something long buried, and never meant to be found. Let me know when you're ready for part 2. You said. The corridor was darker now, the flickering red lights dimming one by one, as if the underground structure itself had suddenly become aware of their presence. Milo and Zoe crouched behind a rusted storage unit, breaths shallow. The footsteps they'd heard were no longer echoes in the distance, they were approaching. Steady. Purposeful. Too slow to be human, too focused to be a shambler. Milo motioned with his hand, finger to lips. Zoe nodded silently. They waited. Then it appeared. The figure moved past their hiding spot, a tall silhouette with elongated limbs wrapped in a tattered white containment suit. Its face, if it had one, was hidden beneath a cracked visor, which glowed faintly with a pale blue hue. Tubes ran from its spine to a pack on its back, hissing gently with each step. It made no sound, no growl or moan, just that steady mechanical breath. Zoe clenched her knife, but Milo gently pushed her hand down. Not yet, he whispered. The creature paused. It tilted its head slightly, as if listening, then turned and vanished down a side corridor, its footsteps echoing until they faded into silence. What was that? Zoe finally whispered. I don't know, Milo muttered. But it wasn't like anything on the surface. That thing looked like it was built for something. Zoe frowned. Built? Milo nodded. Maybe a prototype. A test subject. The name, Project Echo. This wasn't just a bunker. It was a lab. They pressed deeper into the hallway, stepping carefully over loose wires and shattered glass. At the far end, they came to another reinforced door, this one labeled, Lab 3, Observation. Milo tapped at the access panel. Long dead. He forced it open with the crowbar. Inside was a long observation room filled with consoles and glass windows overlooking another chamber. The walls were lined with drawings, blueprints, anatomical sketches, and containment procedures. All tagged with one phrase, Phase 4, Cognitive Reintegration Trials. Zoe stared at one of the diagrams. These aren't normal zombies. They were experimenting on them. Milo moved to the observation window. Behind the glass, the adjacent chamber was empty, except for deep scratch marks on the far wall. Claw marks. Not like those of a mindless infected, but purposeful patterns, almost symbols, carved into the concrete with inhuman strength. What were they doing down here? Zoe asked, unnerved. Looks like they were trying to train them, Milo said grimly. Make them smarter. Controlled. Suddenly, the console next to him crackled to life. A pre-recorded message began to play, warped with age and static. Sector 12 is now in permanent lockdown. All remaining personnel are advised to evacuate through the south subtunnel. Subject E7 has breached its containment chamber. Behavioral shifts unpredictable. Repeat, Subject E7 has. The message ended abruptly with the sound of screaming and metal tearing. Milo's hand tightened on the crowbar. Subject E7. That has to be what we saw. Zoe backed away from the window. We shouldn't be here. No, Milo agreed. But we can't leave yet. Not until we know what this place was doing. Someone went to a lot of trouble to hide it. They exited the lab and followed a branching passage marked South Access. The air grew warmer. Pipes dripped a thick black sludge that hissed where it touched metal. Something had gone terribly wrong down here. They came to a small break room, intact, strangely untouched. There were 2 long tables, a fridge, and a stack of employee ID cards scattered across the floor. Zoe picked one up. Dr. Elaine Marrow. Lead researcher, Cognitive Interface Division. Milo crouched beside a wall-mounted locker. Inside was a sealed black case marked classified. He pried it open. Inside was a bundle of data drives and a dusty logbook. He opened it. The first page read: Week 1, test subjects are responding well to serum echo X4. Neural patterns suggest retained memory. Hostile instincts present but containable. Subject E7 shows advanced problem-solving ability. Milo flipped ahead. Week 5, Subject E7 entered REM state. Dream activity recorded. Violent imagery. Flashbacks to human memories. Shows resistance to commands. Security compromised in Lab 4. And finally, Week 6, E7 not infected. E7 was born from infection. It speaks. Milo shut the book, heart pounding. They didn't just create a smarter zombie. They created something new. Suddenly, the power surged. Lights buzzed and roared back to life down the corridor. And behind them, a voice spoke, deep, distorted, unnatural. Why did you come here? Milo and Zoe spun around. Nothing there. Then the lights flickered again, and the door behind them slammed shut. They were no longer alone. Let me know when you're ready for part 3. The mystery's only just beginning. The heavy clang of the door echoed through the underground chamber, sending a shudder through the stale air. Milo's grip tightened on the crowbar as Zoe scanned the shadows with wide eyes, every muscle tense. Did you hear that? Zoe whispered, voice barely audible. Milo nodded, stepping toward the door, trying the handle. Locked. No surprise. We need another way out, he muttered. Suddenly, the distorted voice returned, this time clearer, closer. Why do you seek what was meant to be forgotten? Zoe's breath caught. Who's there? She demanded, trying to sound braver than she felt. Silence answered. Milo took a cautious step forward. If you want us gone, say so. A low hum filled the room, vibrating in their chests. Then, a flicker appeared on one of the still-active monitors. A hazy figure materialized, human but altered. Its eyes glowed an eerie blue, scanning the room with unsettling intelligence. I am E7, the figure said, voice mechanical yet unmistakably alive. Not what you expect. Not what you fear. Milo's heart raced. You're the thing from the lab. I am the future, 7 said. A bridge between the living and the dead. The culmination of their work, and my awakening. Zoe swallowed hard. Why are you here? To protect the secrets buried beneath dead America, E7 replied. To guard the truth of what happened before the fall. Milo's mind raced. What truth? E7 hesitated, then said, the infection was no accident. A weapon turned loose. A desperate measure to save a dying world, by transforming it. Zoe looked at Milo, eyes wide. You mean the outbreak was planned? Yes, E7 confirmed. But the plan failed. The city above is lost. The streets drown in silence and death. Yet beneath, we remain. We adapt. We watch. A flicker of movement caught Milo's eye from a dark corner, a shadow shifting, more than just a trick of the light. His grip tightened. "Why show yourself now?" Milo asked. "Because you are different," E7 said. "You seek answers, not destruction. You may choose to join us, or be left behind." Zoe stepped forward, defiant. "We don't want to be part of this." E7's glow pulsed, almost like a sad smile. "Then you must leave. But the way out is not as simple as the way in." Suddenly, the walls trembled. Distant alarms wailed, and somewhere deep below, a monstrous roar shattered the silence. Milo grabbed Zoe's arm. "We need to move. Now." They sprinted back into the hallway, the hum of machines replaced by distant crashing. Shadows flickered around them, more figures emerging from the dark, not quite human, but not the shambling infected either. Fast. Intelligent. Hunting. The underground world was waking. Milo glanced back. E7's image flickered on the monitor one last time. "Find the others. Uncover the truth. Survive." And then the screen went black. Milo and Zoe raced through the labyrinthine corridors, their footsteps pounding against cold concrete. The echo of distant roars and mechanical growls sent chills down their spines. The underground wasn't just a tomb, it was a hive. Around them, figures emerged from the darkness, creatures with flickering blue eyes, moving with terrifying speed and precision. Unlike the shambling dead they'd faced before, these hunters were silent, calculated. Their bodies bore signs of augmentation, metal plates fused into flesh, tubes pulsing with strange fluids, and strange devices embedded in their skulls. Zoe dodged left, narrowly avoiding a swipe that could have torn her apart. Milo swung his crowbar, connecting with a metallic limb that sparked but didn't falter. "We need to get to the south subtunnel," Milo shouted. "That's where the old exit is." As they ran, a flash of light illuminated the wall, graffiti scrawled in haste. Words etched deep into the concrete. "The truth lies beneath the railway." Zoe stopped, staring at the message. "Railway? That's near the surface." Milo hesitated but nodded. "If we can get there, maybe we can get out, or find others." Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled. A loud rumble grew, shaking loose debris from the ceilings. The hunters paused, as if sensing something far greater approaching. From the depths, a monstrous figure emerged, towering, grotesque, yet unmistakably alive. Its skin was patchwork, stitched together, parts gleaming with a strange metallic sheen. Eyes glowing bright red, it let out a deafening roar that shattered the silence. "It's the beast," Milo whispered, horror-stricken. "The one they warned us about in the logs." The hunters scattered, retreating into shadows. Milo grabbed Zoe's hand. "Come on." They dashed toward a set of heavy doors marked "Service Access," pushing them open into a narrow stairwell spiraling upward. The air grew fresher with each step, but so did the sound of the beast's pursuit, relentless and terrifying. Finally, they burst through a grate and into the dim light of an abandoned railway station. The platform was littered with overturned carts and rusted tracks, but the open sky above felt like a lifeline. But their relief was short-lived. From the far end of the platform, dozens of figures appeared, survivors, gaunt and wary, armed with makeshift weapons. They raised rifles cautiously. A gruff voice called out, "Stop! Who are you?" Milo stepped forward, hands raised. "We're not infected. We're trying to find a way out." The group hesitated, then lowered their weapons slowly. "We're the last here," a woman said, stepping forward. "Name's Riley. We've been trapped underground for weeks, hiding from the infected and something worse." Zoe looked back toward the grate. "There's a creature down there. A monster from the experiments." Riley's eyes darkened. "We know. And we've been trying to figure out what it wants." Milo exchanged a glance with Zoe. They weren't alone in this fight. But the real secrets, the truth of dead America, were still buried beneath their feet. And time was running out. Would you like me to continue with part 5? The survivors gathered close, their faces illuminated by the flickering glow of a battered lantern. Milo and Zoe listened intently as Riley began to speak, her voice low but steady. "We were part of a small group trapped underground when the city fell," she said. "We heard rumors of a secret facility beneath the streets, where the government conducted experiments. Some say it was a last-ditch effort to create a cure, others believe it was something far darker." Milo exchanged a glance with Zoe, the pieces slowly clicking together. The voice on the monitor, 7, had hinted at a weaponized virus and a plan gone horribly wrong. One of the survivors, a wiry man named Jenkins, chimed in, "We found a lab deep beneath the subway lines. Equipment was still humming, machines half buried in dust. And there were logs, recordings that told a story no one was ready to hear." Zoe's eyes widened. "Logs? Like recordings?" "Exactly," Jenkins said. "We managed to salvage some before the power started failing. They speak of Project Lazarus, a program designed to resurrect the dead as a new kind of soldier. The virus wasn't just an accident, it was engineered." A cold silence settled over the group. Milo swallowed hard. "So the zombies, the infected, they're part of this experiment?" "Not just part," Riley said grimly. "They're the failed prototypes. The real monsters are still down there, machines, and whatever else was created to control or eradicate them." Milo's gaze drifted toward the dark tunnels leading back underground. "We need to see those logs." Riley nodded. "We planned a raid to retrieve more data from the lab. If we can find the master controls, maybe we can shut this nightmare down." Zoe shivered. "But what about the creature? The beast?" "That's the Guardian," Jenkins said. "A defense mechanism gone rogue, protecting the secrets it was designed to hide." Milo's mind raced. If they could access those records, maybe they could find a way to reverse the infection, or at least stop it from spreading. "We'll help," Milo said firmly. "Together." The group prepared quickly, gathering weapons and supplies. As they moved through the broken station toward the entrance to the lab, every shadow seemed alive, every sound a warning. Descending back into the depths, Milo's heart pounded. The walls whispered secrets, memories of a city that tried to cheat death and paid the price. At the lab's entrance, a faded emblem hung above the door, half obliterated but still readable, Project Lazarus. Zoe's hand trembled as she reached for the handle. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of chemicals and decay. Rows of machines blinked faintly, waiting for commands long forgotten. Suddenly, a screen flickered to life, displaying a message. "Welcome, Subject 43. Your awakening is imminent." Milo's blood ran cold. The words on the screen sent a chill through the room. Milo and Zoe exchanged uneasy glances, while Riley and Jenkins moved cautiously deeper into the lab. "Subject 43? Zoe whispered, stepping forward. "What does that mean?" Before anyone could answer, a sudden hum filled the air, a low vibration that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. The machines around them flickered, screens lighting up with cryptic codes and looping security footage. A hatch slid open in the far corner, releasing a soft hiss. From the darkness emerged a figure, limp at first, then slowly rising to a standing position. Its eyes blinked open, glowing faintly blue, scanning the room with a confused but intelligent gaze. "It's alive," Riley breathed. Milo tightened his grip on the crowbar. "Is it infected?" The figure took a hesitant step forward. "No," it said, voice strained but clear. "I am different." Zoe's heart pounded. "Who are you?" "I was a scientist," the figure replied, voice faltering. "Part of the team behind Project Lazarus. I was Subject 43. I volunteered to test the cure." Riley frowned. You're saying you were infected, and cured? The scientist nodded slowly. The virus changed me, but the serum reversed the infection. I retain memories of both worlds, the living and the dead. But there is more, something went wrong. Milo asked, what happened? The scientist's eyes darkened. The cure was incomplete. It works on some, but many were lost. The project was shut down, and the facility sealed. The creature you saw, the Guardian, is a security system designed to eliminate threats. It became uncontrollable. Suddenly, alarms blared, and the ground shook. Red lights flashed, casting the room in an urgent glow. We've triggered a security lockdown, the scientist said, voice urgent. We have minutes before the facility seals completely. Zoe scanned the lab's control panel. Can we stop it? I can try, the scientist said, moving to the console. Fingers flew over keys, overriding protocols. Outside the lab, footsteps and guttural growls approached. The Guardians were closing in. Milo and Riley took defensive positions at the door, ready to hold off whatever came next. The scientist's fingers paused. Almost there. With a final keystroke, the alarm ceased, and the doors unlocked with a metallic clang. We're clear, the scientist said, turning to face the group. But this is only the beginning. As they hurried back toward the surface, Milo realized that the secrets buried beneath dead America were more than just about survival, they were about facing the consequences of human ambition, and the hope of redemption in a world teetering on the edge of oblivion. Ready for part 7 whenever you want. Would you like it to focus more on the group's fight for survival or uncovering more hidden truths? Emerging from the lab's cold depths, Milo, Zoe, Riley, Jenkins, and the newly awakened scientist found themselves back in the dim light of the underground station. The air was thick with tension, not just from the lingering threat of the infected but from the fragile alliances forming among the survivors. We need to move quickly, Riley urged, eyes scanning the shadows. That Guardian will be back soon, and the infected are closing in. Milo nodded, gripping his crowbar tightly. We can't afford mistakes. Zoe glanced at the scientist, who was silent, lost in thought. What now? Do you have a plan? The scientist swallowed hard. The cure serum I carry, it's unstable but might help those still uninfected who show early symptoms. We could try saving some of your group. Riley's eyes flickered with hope, but Jenkins shook his head. We barely have enough supplies to survive. And what if the serum fails? We can't risk more lives. Tension cracked the air as the group debated, old wounds surfacing amid fear and desperation. Suddenly, distant screams echoed from the tunnels. The infected were closing in, drawn by noise and movement. Enough! Milo shouted, stepping forward. Our fight isn't just against the dead, it's against the doubt tearing us apart. We either stand together or fall apart. Reluctantly, the group agreed to press on, united by necessity. As they moved through twisted corridors and forgotten platforms, memories of the city's past haunted them, ghosts of lives lost to ambition and error. Zoe stumbled upon a small, crumpled photo lying on the floor. It showed a family smiling before the outbreak, a reminder of what was at stake. Suddenly, a low growl came from behind. The Guardian had returned. The massive creature charged, blocking their path. With no time to think, the group scattered, fighting for every inch. Milo swung his crowbar with desperate strength, buying time for Zoe and the scientist to find a way around. In the chaos, Riley was pinned beneath rubble, cries echoing through the tunnel. Zoe hesitated, torn between fleeing and helping. Milo shouted, "We don't leave anyone behind." With fierce determination, they lifted the debris, pulling Riley free just as the Guardian's shadow loomed overhead. Together, they fought back, combining strength and cunning. The battle was fierce but brief. The Guardian retreated into the darkness, its warning clear. Panting and wounded, the group pressed onward, their bonds tested but unbroken. As they ascended toward the surface once more, Milo glanced at his companions, knowing the secrets beneath the streets were only part of the story. The true fight was for their humanity. "Would you like me to prepare part 8, the finale?" You said. The battered group finally reached the last set of stairs leading to the surface. Above them, faint rays of sunlight filtered through the cracked pavement, an invitation to a world forever changed. Milo's breath caught in his throat. After days trapped beneath the city, with secrets clawing at their sanity and shadows hunting their every step, freedom felt tantalizingly close. Yet the weight of what they'd uncovered lingered heavily. The government's experiment, Project Lazarus, had unleashed a nightmare upon dead America, one that might never truly end. Zoe looked back down into the darkness, a mixture of relief and sorrow in her eyes. "We exposed the truth," she said softly. "But what now? The surface is no safer than below." The scientist, whose name was Dr. Ellis, nodded. "The cure in my veins is only a start. We need to rebuild, to find others like us, to restore hope." Riley, still nursing a bandaged arm, added, "We can't erase the past, but maybe we can write a new chapter." Milo gripped the crowbar one last time, feeling its worn handle. "Then let's make sure that chapter begins today." As they emerged into the open air, the city lay in ruins. Streets choked with abandoned cars, buildings scarred by fire and time. Yet amid the desolation, signs of life stirred, small pockets of survivors, cautious but determined. The group moved carefully but purposefully, alert for threats but driven by an unyielding will to survive. Suddenly, a figure stepped into the sunlight ahead, a lone woman, eyes wide with both fear and recognition. "Are you survivors?" she asked. Milo nodded. "We are. And we have something that can help." Dr. Ellis stepped forward, extending a vial of shimmering blue serum. The woman hesitated, then accepted it with trembling hands. "This is just the beginning," Milo said. "The fight to reclaim our world has only just begun." As the sun climbed higher, casting light on the shattered city, the survivors stood together, scarred but unbroken. Beneath the streets, the secrets of dead America remained buried, but above ground, a new dawn was rising. And with it, hope. If you want, I can help you with a brief summary of the whole story or create engaging YouTube video titles for this series. Just let me know.